Imagine this. A peaceful suburban neighborhood turns into a battlefield when a vindictive HOA president targets a veteran's prized Navy patrol boat, sinking it in a fit of rage. But what she doesn't know is that this act of petty tyranny uncovers a web of corruption worth millions, leading to her ultimate downfall. Buckle up for a tale of revenge, fraud, and sweet justice. If you're hooked on these wild HOA nightmare stories, smash that like button, subscribe for more epic takedowns, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let's dive right in. In the quiet suburbs of Willow Creek, where manicured lawns stretched like green carpets under the watchful eyes of the Homeowners Association, lived Marcus Hale, a retired Navy veteran who had seen his share of storms at sea. His modest home, nestled at the end of a cul-de-sac, held a unique treasure in its driveway, a restored Navy patrol boat, a relic from his service days that he had painstakingly refurbished over years of weekends and late nights. The boat, painted in sleek navy blue with polished brass fittings, wasn't just a hobby. It was a symbol of his past adventures, a floating museum of memories from patrols in distant waters. Marcus had bought the property specifically because the HOA rules at the time allowed for such vehicles, as long as they were covered or stored neatly. He had even gotten written approval from the previous board, tucking the document away like a sacred relic. But tranquility shattered with the arrival of Karen Whitaker, the new HOA president, a woman whose reputation for nitpicking preceded her like a dark cloud. Karen, in her mid-50s with perfectly coiffed hair and a wardrobe of pastel cardigans, ruled the neighborhood with an iron fist wrapped in passive-aggressive notes. She patrolled the streets in her golf cart, binoculars in hand, ready to pounce on any infraction, from overgrown hedges to unauthorized bird feeders. Marcus's boat caught her eye immediately, an eyesore in her vision of uniform perfection. She began her campaign subtly, with friendly reminders slipped under his door about community aesthetics. Marcus, ever the diplomat, responded politely, citing his approval and offering to discuss it at the next meeting. But Karen wasn't one for compromise. She saw the boat as a challenge to her authority, a defiant symbol that needed to be eradicated. As weeks turned into months, her tactics escalated. She rallied a clique of like-minded board members, whispering about how the boat lowered property values and attracted unwanted attention. Secret meetings were held in her living room, where cups of herbal tea masked the brewing conspiracy. Marcus noticed the changes. Anonymous complaints filed against him, fines accumulating for vague violations like unsightly storage. He paid them at first, hoping to appease, but the boat remained his line in the sand. One fateful evening, under the cover of a summer storm, Karen took matters into her own hands. She had discovered a loophole in the bylaws, one she twisted to her advantage, claiming the boat violated a newly amended rule on recreational vehicles. With a tow truck summoned in the dead of night, she oversaw the removal, watching as chains clanked against the hull. The boat was hauled away to an impound lot, but in the process, the rough handling caused irreparable damage. The keel cracked, fiberglass splintered, and water from the rain pooled inside, effectively sinking it on dry land. Marcus awoke to an empty driveway and a citation on his windshield, his heart sinking as he realized the extent of the sabotage. Fury simmered beneath his calm exterior. This wasn't just about a boat anymore. He delved into research, poring over HOA documents late into the night, his living room lit by the glow of his computer screen. What he uncovered was the tip of an iceberg: discrepancies in the association's financial records, unexplained fees, and a pattern of selective enforcement that favored Karen's inner circle. Properties owned by her friends received waivers for similar violations, while others faced relentless harassment. Marcus's military training kicked in. Reconnaissance was key. He attended every HOA meeting from then on, notebook in hand, documenting the proceedings with the precision of a logbook. Whispers among neighbors revealed more. Overcharged dues funneled into mysterious accounts, landscaping contracts awarded to Karen's relatives at inflated prices, and even rumors of embezzlement. The boat's removal had been the catalyst, but now Marcus saw the bigger picture: a fraudulent empire built on intimidation and greed. As autumn leaves fell, he began gathering evidence discreetly, photographing ledgers during open sessions and cross-referencing them with public records. The neighborhood, once a haven, now felt like a pressure cooker, with tensions rising as more residents questioned Karen's reign. Marcus's resolve hardened. He wouldn't just reclaim his boat. He'd dismantle the corruption brick by brick. But Karen, sensing the shift, doubled down, issuing more fines and threatening liens on his property. Little did she know, Marcus had allies forming in the shadows, fellow veterans and disillusioned homeowners ready to join the fight. The stage was set for a confrontation that would rock Willow Creek to its foundations, as Marcus prepared to launch his counteroffensive from the ruins of his beloved patrol boat. In the crisp chill of winter, Marcus Hale transformed his home into a command center, walls papered with printouts of financial statements and timelines of HOA misdeeds. The loss of his Navy patrol boat still stung, a gaping wound in his driveway now filled with snow, but it fueled his determination like jet fuel. He had retrieved what remained of the vessel from the impound lot, paying exorbitant fees that dipped into his savings, only to find it beyond salvage, the hull warped, electronics fried from exposure. Yet in its destruction lay opportunity. Marcus repurposed the boat's remnants using the onboard storage compartments to hide his growing dossier of evidence. Old navigation charts became backdrops for mapping out Karen Whitaker's web of deceit, each pin representing a suspicious transaction. His investigation deepened, revealing that Karen had been skimming funds for years, starting small with petty cash but escalating to siphoning off reserve accounts meant for community repairs. A leaky clubhouse roof went unfixed while her personal vacations multiplied, receipts buried in convoluted bookkeeping. Marcus cross-checked everything meticulously, using public databases to trace wire transfers to offshore accounts linked to her family. Neighbors, emboldened by his quiet persistence, began slipping him tips. A gardener overpaid for minimal work. A pool maintenance contract renewed at double the market rate to a company owned by Karen's brother-in-law. The fraud scale emerged. Over $3 million misappropriated, enough to bankrupt the association if exposed. Marcus's military background proved invaluable. He approached this like a covert operation, avoiding direct confrontation to build an airtight case. Karen, meanwhile, grew paranoid, her golf cart patrols increasing as she sniffed out dissent. She hosted lavish holiday parties for the board, gifts flowing like wine, all charged to the HOA's dime. Marcus attended one such event under the guise of reconciliation, his eyes sharp as he noted the extravagance. Crystal stemware and catered delicacies that screamed excess. Back home, he digitized everything, scanning documents into encrypted files on a thumb drive shaped like a miniature anchor from his boat. Alliances formed organically. A young accountant next door offered pro bono audits, confirming the discrepancies, while an elderly widow shared old meeting minutes that predated Karen's manipulations. The neighborhood buzzed with subdued excitement, whispers in driveways about the coming storm. Marcus even reached out to former board members who had been ousted for questioning her, their stories painting a portrait of bullying and coercion. One night, as snow blanketed the streets, he pieced together the smoking gun, falsified invoices for non-existent services, totaling hundreds of thousands, signed off by Karen herself. His plan crystallized. Use the boat's symbolic destruction as the hook to rally support, presenting his findings at the annual HOA assembly. But risks loomed. Karen's influence extended to local officials, and rumors swirled of her hiring a private investigator to dig into dissenters' lives. Marcus fortified his resolve, exercising in his garage with weight salvaged from the boat's deck, his mind as sharp as ever. The winter dragged on, each day bringing more revelations like a buried utility line exposed by frost heave. He discovered kickbacks from vendors, padded expense reports for consulting fees, and even a slush fund used to silence complaints with small rebates. The total fraud climbed toward the $3 million mark, a staggering sum for a modest suburb. As spring approached, Marcus prepared his arsenal, printing binders of evidence and rehearsing his presentation in the mirror. Karen, oblivious to the depth of his probe, focused on superficial victories, like finding a family for holiday lights left up too long. The tension built like a coiled spring ready to unleash. Marcus knew the exposure would be explosive, potentially leading to legal action and the dissolution of the corrupt board. His boat, though sunk, had become the vessel for justice, its legacy shifting from naval relic to instrument of reckoning. The neighborhood held its breath, awaiting the moment when the facade would crack, and Marcus would steer them toward transparency and reform. In the blooming warmth of spring, Marcus Hale's meticulous campaign against Karen Whitaker reached its crescendo, the evidence stacked like ammunition in his home office. The Navy patrol boat's wreckage sat in his backyard now, a makeshift monument covered in tarp, but its spirit propelled him forward. He had amassed irrefutable proof, bank statements showing unauthorized transfers, emails coordinating kickbacks, and witness affidavits from intimidated residents. The fraud totaled exactly $3 million, drained over 5 years through a labyrinth of shell companies and inflated contracts. Marcus timed his reveal perfectly, coinciding with the HOA's annual budget meeting, where transparency was mandated by state law. He arrived early, binders in tow, his posture straight as a mast, the community center filled with neighbors, some curious, others wary of Karen's glare from the podium. As proceedings began, Marcus requested the floor under the open forum clause, his voice steady as he laid out the timeline. Slide by slide on a borrowed projector, salvaged parts from his boat's old radar system jury-rigged into a display, he exposed the discrepancies, starting with small anomalies and building to the grand theft. Gasps rippled through the room as figures flashed. $500,000 to a phantom roofing company, $750,000 in emergency reserves vanished into personal accounts. Karen's face paled, her attempts at interruption drowned by murmurs of outrage. The presentation culminated with the boat's story, how its sinking had sparked his investigation, turning personal vendetta into communal salvation. Chaos ensued. Demands for audits echoed. Phones lit up with calls to authorities. Karen fled the meeting, but the damage was done. The state attorney general's office launched an inquiry within days, subpoenas flying like confetti. Marcus cooperated fully, his evidence the cornerstone of the case. As summer dawned, arrests followed. Karen and her accomplices charged with embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy. The neighborhood reeled, but relief washed over like a cleansing tide. A new board was elected, transparent and fair, with Marcus declining a seat to focus on rebuilding. He sold the boat's scraps for parts, using proceeds to fund a community park, a fitting tribute. Willow Creek healed, lawns greener, spirits lifted, the shadow of corruption lifted forever. Justice, served cold and calculated, proved that even a sunk boat could capsize an empire of deceit. If this HOA revenge saga had you on the edge of your seat, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more insane stories. Comment below your wildest HOA horror, and I'll see you in the next one.